The crash, the night was quiet. Too quiet. In the middle of a dark forest, a strange light appeared in the sky. It wasn't a star. It moved fast. It burned red and green. Then, suddenly, boom. Something crashed deep into the woods. Miles away, Daniel heard the sound. He looked up from his small wooden cabin, wiping grease from his hands. He was fixing an old radio. Again. But now, everything was silent, except for a soft hum in the air. He stepped outside. The sky was still glowing where the object had fallen. "What the hell was that?" he whispered. Daniel wasn't a soldier, not a hero, just a simple man who liked machines more than people. But something about that sound, something pulled him toward it. He grabbed his flashlight and jacket, then walked into the forest. The deeper he went, the stranger things became. Trees were broken. The ground was hot. Birds were silent. Then he saw it. A small silver pod, half buried in the earth, steam rising from it. It didn't look human-made. He stepped closer, heart pounding. The pod made a soft hiss. A small door slid open. Smoke poured out. And then, someone fell out. Not someone. Something. A girl. Or at least, she looked like a girl. Her skin was pale, blue. Her hair shimmered like stars. Her clothes were tight, glowing faintly. Daniel froze. She was breathing. Weakly. Her eyes opened. Bright purple, full of pain. She looked at him and whispered just one word. "Please." He dropped to his knees beside her. Hey, you okay? Can you move?" She winced in pain. Her arm was bleeding blue, not red. She shook her head slowly. Daniel hesitated. This wasn't normal. This wasn't even possible. But she looked scared. Alone. Not dangerous. "All right," he said softly. "I'll help you. Just don't die on me." He lifted her gently. She was lighter than she looked. As he carried her through the woods, his mind raced. What if someone saw? What if she was dangerous? What if this was a trap? But he didn't stop. Back at his cabin, he placed her on the old couch. She was half-conscious, breathing shallow. He cleaned her wounds, not sure if it would even work on aliens. "You crashed," he said quietly. "In the forest, I don't know if you understand me, but you're safe here. For now." She looked at him with tired eyes, then closed them. Daniel stayed awake all night, watching over her. In the morning, she sat up. Slowly. "Where am I?" Her voice was soft, clear. Daniel stared. "You speak English?" She nodded, then winced. "Learned from old signals, from your planet," she said. He blinked. "Of course you did." There was silence, uncomfortable silence. "Why are you here?" he asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she looked out the window. "I ran away," she said. "They will come for me." Daniel felt a chill. "Who?" She looked down. "My kind." He gave her water. Food. She didn't eat much. But she stared at everything, the table, the floor, even the light bulb, like she was seeing it for the first time. "You're not here to hurt anyone, are you?" he asked. "No," she whispered. "I am the one they wanted to destroy." Daniel frowned. "Why?" She looked into his eyes. "Because I showed mercy." That night she had a nightmare. Daniel heard her cry out. Strange words. Strange fear. He sat beside her. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe here." She looked at him with wide eyes. "You are different," she said. He smiled slightly. "You're not so bad yourself." But outside, high in orbit, something moved. A shadow. A machine. And a voice spoke in a cold, alien tongue. "Target has landed. Begin search." The stranger at the door morning light filtered through the trees like golden mist. Inside Daniel's cabin, the quiet hum of machines buzzed softly. Kyra sat near the window, her glowing eyes fixed on the forest outside. Her expression was unreadable, part wonder, part fear. Daniel handed her a mug of tea. "Not sure if aliens drink this," he said with a half smile. "But it helps when you're freaking out." Kyra took the mug carefully, studying the steam. "It smells kind," she whispered. Daniel chuckled. Never heard tea described like that. But Kyra didn't laugh. Her gaze drifted to the sky. "They will come. My kind does not forget. Or forgive." Daniel leaned back in his chair. "Then we'll deal with it when they do." She turned. To him sharply. "You don't understand. My people don't knock on doors, they break them." Daniel's smile faded. Later that day, Daniel worked in his shed, repairing a broken power cell from Kyra's ship. It sparked faintly. Alien technology beyond anything Earth had. Still, something about it. He could feel how it worked. Like it was alive. Back in the house, Kyra paced. She could sense something. A presence. Like distant thunder inside. Her mind. She stepped outside. Birds scattered and then footsteps. Slow. Steady. Someone was approaching. Not human. A tall figure appeared at the edge of the trees, wearing a long coat, face hidden under a wide hood, too still, too quiet. Daniel stepped out, wiping his hands. "You lost?" he asked. The figure didn't answer. Kyra's voice was low, sharp. "Get back." "It's just a guy," Daniel said. "Probably a hiker or—" "No," Kyra interrupted. "Not a man." The figure took one step forward and spoke. Designation, Daniel Reese. Human. Location, verified. Life form. Status, present. Alien fugitive, detected. The voice was mechanical, emotionless. Daniel's blood ran cold. "Who are you?" The hood lowered. No face, just metal, a mask with glowing blue eyes. "Observer Unit 9, it replied. "You are harboring an outlaw of the Zanari Empire. Surrender her now." Kyra stepped in front of Daniel. "You have no authority here." "Incorrect," the machine said. "This world is not protected." Its arms began to shift into metal folding, forming weapons. Daniel grabbed a wrench. "Stupid. Useless." Kyra raised her hand. "Leave, or you will be destroyed." The machine didn't move. "You are weak. You fled justice. This planet will fall like the others." And then, flash. Light exploded from Kyra's chest. A wave of energy hit the machine, sending it flying back into the trees. Birds screamed. The ground shook. Daniel stared at her, eyes wide. "What was that?" She looked down at her hands. They were glowing. Trembling. "I don't know," she whispered. "I shouldn't have that power. But you do." They ran back inside. Daniel locked the doors, and not that it would help. Kyra fell to her knees, sweat on her forehead, her skin flickering between colors. "They've upgraded the hunters," she said. "That wasn't just a tracker, that was a cleaner." Daniel sat beside her. "What does that mean?" She looked at him with terror in her eyes. "It means they're not trying to bring me back. They're trying to erase me. And anyone who helps me." Night came fast. Outside, something moved in the forest. Shadows too smooth to be animals. Lights flickered in the sky. Daniel looked through the window. "We can't stay here." Kyra stood, more stable now. "Then we go. I can mask us for a while." "Where?" "Somewhere no machines can follow. Somewhere human." Daniel smirked. "I know just the place." Before they left, Daniel picked up something from the machine's broken body. A small black cube. Kyra's eyes narrowed. "You shouldn't touch that." Too late, Daniel said, slipping it into his jacket. Might come in handy. They disappeared into the night far above Earth. A massive ship turned toward the planet. Inside, a voice echoed across the bridge. Subject Ka'ira has survived contact. Human ally confirmed. Initiate Phase 2. A second voice, colder than ice, prepare the destroyer class, burn the zone. Learning to feel, they drove through the mountains in silence. The old truck rattled along dirt roads. Trees blurred past. In the passenger seat, Ka'ira stared out the window like she was watching a dream. Soft music played from a half-working radio. Daniel didn't say much. He wasn't sure what to say. Her skin was dimmer today. Tired. She hadn't slept. She hadn't spoken since the attack. Finally, she whispered, "This world, it's so loud. Even the quiet is loud." Daniel nodded. "You get used to it." She looked at him. "Do you?" He didn't answer. They stopped at an old cabin deep in the forest. It belonged to Daniel's grandfather. Off-grid. No satellites. No signals. Safe. For now. Inside, it smelled like dust and memories. Ka'ira explored slowly. Touched the curtains, the books. A photo of Daniel as a child. "This is your origin place?" she asked. He smiled. "Kind of." She touched the photo frame gently. "We don't keep things like this. No objects of the past. Only records. Only data." "No feelings?" he asked. She looked away. "Feelings are forbidden." Outside, a thunderstorm brewed. Ka'ira sat under the porch roof watching the rain. Daniel brought her a blanket. "You ever seen rain before?" She shook her head slowly. "My world has no sky. Only metal." She reached out her hand, letting water hit her fingers. She smiled. "It's soft," she said, "but strong. It falls and falls, but never stops." "Like life," Daniel said. She looked at him. "Is that what you believe?" He shrugged. "It's what I try to believe." Later, she asked, "Why did you help me?" He looked up from the fire. "Because you needed help. But you didn't know me. I could have killed you. You didn't. But I could have." He looked her in the eyes. "So could I." Ka'ira didn't speak for a long time. As night fell, Daniel taught her how to make tea, how to hold a book, how to feel music. When she heard a violin track, something in her shifted. Her eyes softened. She touched her chest. "What is this?" she whispered. "Music," he said. "No, this feeling, it's heavy but warm." He smiled gently. "That's called emotion." "Is it a weapon?" "No. It's being alive." Flashbacks flickered in Ka'ira's mind, a young alien child gasping for air. Ka'ira kneeling beside them, giving oxygen, breaking protocol. High-ranking official screaming, "You've shamed your bloodline, a trial." Cold voices. Punishment declared. "You chose a lesser species over your own," one judge said. Ka'ira didn't speak. She only looked at the child she had saved. And smiled. Now she stared at the fire. "They called me broken. Soft. They said I was infected." Daniel tilted his head. "By kindness? By weakness? Then maybe they're the ones infected." Ka'ira looked at him, truly looked, for the first time. Something passed between them, something silent, something powerful. Meanwhile, far above Earth, a new kind of hunter was being created. Biomech units, flesh and metal combined, stronger, faster, smarter. One opened its eyes for the first time. Target, Ka'ira. Priority, erase and extract emotional data. The next morning, Ka'ira stood near a small lake. Birds flew over her head. She mimicked their calls, laughed quietly. Daniel walked up behind her. "You're changing." She turned. "I know. Physically, emotionally, your energy. It's different. Earth is changing me," she said. "Or maybe I'm remembering who I really was." They sat together by the water. "You asked why I helped you," Daniel said. She nodded. Maybe it's because I've been alone too. She looked down. I still am. He touched her hand. Not anymore. But just then, a sound broke. The calm. A low hum. Daniel's truck engine, starting by itself. They both turned. The truck's headlights flared. Its doors locked. Kaira's eyes widened. It's not the truck, it's in the truck. The engine roared, then shut off. A message appeared, glowing across the windshield in alien script. She translated aloud. You feel, we see, you love, we come. The truck exploded. The shockwave knocked them both down. Kaira's skin lit up like fire. Her veins glowed gold. Daniel coughed, ears ringing. They found us? Kaira looked into the smoke. A shape walked through the flames. Not machine, not flesh. Both. Its face shifted, copying Daniel's. We are the new judgment, it said in his voice. The rescue fire. The old truck was gone. Nothing but burning metal and twisted glass. Daniel lay on the ground, ears ringing, blood trickling from his forehead. He tried to move, but his body didn't listen. Kaira stood over him, shielding him with her arm. Her skin pulsed with golden light. Her eyes glowed, locked on the creature stepping from the fire, half machine, half organic, walking like a man but too smooth, too perfect. Hostile confirmed, it said in a voice that flickered, sometimes Daniel's, sometimes hers. Begin, harvest. Kaira's voice was calm, too calm. If you touch him, I will tear the sky open. The creature tilted its head. You have already been torn, your mind unstable, your emotions contaminated. Better than being hollow, she growled. The thing moved fast, a blur of steel. Its hand turned into a blade, slashing toward Daniel. But Kaira was faster. She raised her hand and the air cracked. A shield of shimmering light burst out, slamming the attacker backward. Trees splintered behind it. Daniel gasped. What was that? Kaira's voice was shaking. I don't know. I've never done that before. The enemy stood, body steaming, adapting, energy signature updated, new threat level, extreme. Backup required. Kaira's eyes narrowed. No, you don't get backup. She raised both hands. The earth trembled. Golden veins lit up under her skin, crawling up her neck. Kaira, stop, Daniel shouted. You're hurting yourself. But she didn't hear him, or she didn't care. Light exploded from her chest. Raw, radiant power. The creature charged, straight into the blast. For a moment, the forest became a storm of energy. Then, silence. Smoke floated in the air. Trees burned. Birds had fled. Even the wind held its breath. Daniel crawled to Kaira, who was on her knees, gasping for air. Are you okay? She looked up, eyes dimming. I used too much. Can't control it. Not yet. He pulled her, close. You saved me. I tried to kill it. He looked around. Did you? She shook her head. In the distance, metal bones clicked. A hand crawled out of the dirt. No, she whispered. It's not dead. They ran, through the forest, through shadow, past rivers and rocks and broken ground. They reached an old military outpost and long abandoned. Daniel had worked there once, years ago. It was rusted and half dead, but it still had shelter. And tools. They hid inside. Kaira collapsed. Daniel dragged her to a corner, laid her on an old cot. Her body was flickering, glitching, like a failing hologram. He grabbed tools, wires, scraps, alien pieces from her ship, still in his bag. He didn't know what he was building, only that he had to do something. Hours passed. Outside, the wind carried something unnatural. The biomech was hunting, not by sight, not by sound, by feeling. Every emotion Kaira had awakened, love, fear, anger, it could track. Daniel kept working. Kaira woke briefly. You're risking everything, she whispered. Yeah, he said. So did you. I'm not worth this. He looked her dead in the eye. "You're worth more." For a moment, her skin glowed soft blue again, the color of her childhood. Night fell. The creature found the trail, its body now covered in plated armor, absorbing what Ka'ira had thrown at it. "Target reacquired," it said. "Human interference terminate." Daniel was waiting. He had built a trap. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't powerful. But it was human. When the creature stepped inside, energy burst from the walls. "A cage of light," the biomech screamed, not in pain but in confusion. "Primitive tech. Impossible." Daniel grinned. "Welcome to Earth." Ka'ira stood up slowly, her strength returning. She stepped toward the cage. "You were built to erase me," she said. "But you never asked why I ran." The creature hissed. "Emotion is a virus. You were infected." Ka'ira nodded. "Yes. And now I choose to keep it." She raised her hand. A beam of energy formed, slow, controlled, focused. But just as she fired, the creature did something strange. It smiled. A small device dropped from its chest. It blinked once and sent a signal, high above the planet, in orbit. A massive warship awakened, its cannons pointed toward Earth. A voice boomed. "Coordinates locked. Target species contamination. Fire on command." Ka'ira staggered. Daniel caught her. "What did it do?" he asked. She looked up at the sky. It marked us. Far away across the galaxy, an old alien stood in shadows, watching a screen. He stared at Ka'ira's face. "She's still alive," he said. Another voice replied. "Do we send the fleet?" The old one shook his head. "No, we send the purifier." The past revealed the night was quiet. Too quiet. In the underground bunker, hidden beneath the old outpost, Daniel and Ka'ira sat in near darkness. Dust floated through thin beams of moonlight. Outside, the wind howled, but inside, it was the silence that scared them most. Daniel watched Ka'ira as she stared at a glowing crystal between her hands. "What is it?" he asked. Her voice was hollow. "A memory core, encoded with truth. Mine." "Truth about what?" She looked at him, her eyes tired. "About why I was exiled, why they fear me, and why they'll burn this world just to erase it." Ka'ira placed the crystal on the ground. It floated mid-air, spinning slowly. A soft hum began to echo. Light flickered, and the room was filled with images. A city in the sky. Silver towers stretching into space, ships hovering silently. Beings walked in perfect lines. No noise, no chaos, no warmth. "Zanari Prime," she said. "My home, our capital, cold. Perfect. Dead inside," Daniel whispered. "It looks like a machine made it." Ka'ira nodded. "We became machines, long ago, not in body, but in soul." The vision shifted. A classroom. Ka'ira, younger, stood in front of a glowing screen. Her hands trembled. On the floor, a dying creature. Small, furred, not Zanari, not dangerous, just alive. "Its lungs are collapsing," Ka'ira said to the instructor. "Irrelevant," the instructor replied. "Its species is classified as non-intelligent, emotion-driven. Let it expire." "But it's afraid," young Ka'ira whispered. The instructor turned coldly. "Then let it learn death." But she didn't listen. She knelt beside the creature, shared her breath, saved its life. The vision faded. Ka'ira stared at the floor. That's when they knew. I was defective, different. Daniel sat down beside her. "No, you were right." She shook her head. "I wasn't strong back then. I thought I could change them. I begged the High Council for reform." Another memory bloomed from the crystal. Ka'ira stood in a vast chamber of white stone and glass. Tall figures surrounded her. They wore emotionless masks, Even their voices were synthesized. Emotions are a disease, one declared. Kindness breeds chaos. You've infected yourself with lower species sentiment, another said. You risk contaminating the neural harmony. Kyra stood tall. Then maybe your harmony is the real infection. The chamber turned dark. You are sentenced to memory extraction and core cleansing. Exile, if you resist, Kyra shouted. You're not gods. You're ghosts pretending to be pure. But no one listened. Back in the bunker, Daniel was silent. They weren't just cold. They were afraid of you. They still are, Kyra said. Because now I know. Their greatest secret. Daniel leaned closer. What secret? Her voice dropped to a whisper. They were never pure. She activated the crystal one last time. This memory was older, buried deep. A secret lab. Zanari scientists working in shadows. They were watching humans, watching Earth, through ancient probes. They saw war, cruelty, fire, but they also saw something else, a child sharing food with a stranger, a soldier crying for a fallen enemy, a mother choosing love over survival. The scientists argued. They're dangerous. They're emotional. They're evolving. One said, if their emotions stabilize with intellect, they could surpass us. The others nodded. Then we must keep them divided, distracted, small. The vision ended. Daniel stood, furious. They've been watching us, interfering. Kyra nodded. They fear your potential, your heart, just like they feared mine. Daniel clenched his fists. Then maybe it's time they learned what a human heart can really do. But above them, the sky was already breaking. In orbit, the Purifier ship unfolded its arms, massive wings of fire and crystal. Inside, the captain spoke in Zanari code. Emotion detected, empathy signal peaking, weapon charged. Down below, Kyra suddenly staggered, her body shimmered, then sparked. She screamed, falling to her knees. Daniel ran to her. What's happening? She gasped. They linked to me. They're using my emotions to power the weapon. How do we stop it? You don't. Not without breaking the link. What does that mean? She looked up at him, eyes full of fear. It means I have to shut down everything I've become. Daniel knelt in front of her, grabbing her shoulders. Don't say that. If I don't, they'll fire. They'll erase everything within 300 miles. There has to be another way, she whispered. There isn't. But then something unexpected happened. The memory crystal pulsed again. A voice came from it, soft, old. Kyra, if you're hearing this, then you survived. Kyra froze. Father, I failed you, the voice said. But I left you something. A last gift. A chance. Coordinates flashed in the air, deep in the Himalayan mountains. It's a relic, the voice continued. From before we became machines, it responds only to truth. The voice faded. Kyra looked at Daniel. Hope returned to her eyes. Outside, the clouds turned red. The Purifier ship began its countdown. Inside the bunker, Daniel loaded supplies. Kyra stood at the door, whined in her hair. Ready? He asked. No, she said. But let's go anyway. And together, they ran toward the last hope left in the galaxy. Fight or flight. The wind was cold. Thin air burned Daniel's lungs as he climbed the frozen slope. Snow stung his face. Behind him, Kyra walked with slow, trembling steps. Her glow had faded. The link to the Purifier ship was draining her second by second. Above them, the sky cracked with light. The Zanari warship floated in orbit, silent, massive, waiting. A god holding its breath. The countdown had begun. How much time? Daniel asked, struggling against the wind. Kyra looked up. Less than an hour. Once the weapon finishes charging, it won't miss. Can that relic stop it? She didn't answer, because she wasn't sure. They reached a plateau, a jagged stone door, half buried in snow. Symbols pulsed faintly on its surface. Ancient Zanari markings. Pre-purity. This is it, Ka'ira whispered. Daniel touched the stone. No handle? No need, she said. She stepped forward and placed her palm on the door. Nothing happened. She closed her eyes. Not her mind. Her heart. I am Ka'ira, she said, voice cracking. I feel. I remember. I regret. I love. A pause. Then the mountain shook. The stone split open, revealing a narrow path lined with glowing crystals. They went inside. The chamber was vast. Glowing veins ran through the walls like living circuitry. In the center, a platform. Floating above it, a sphere of shifting light and shadow. Ka'ira stepped forward. What is it? Daniel asked. It's not a weapon, she said. It's a mirror. Daniel blinked. Come again? Ka'ira turned to him. It shows you what you are, what you could be. It responds to truth, not strength. It reads the soul. Daniel frowned. And that helps us how? Because if I can prove I'm not a threat, if I can show them what humanity is, they might choose not to fire. Daniel looked up toward the sky. And if they don't care? Ka'ira met his eyes. Then I burn bright enough to blind them. She stepped onto the platform. The sphere began to shift. Images danced inside. Her childhood, the trial, Daniel's face, the feeling of rain, the sound of laughter, the pain of exile, the joy of saving a life. She let it all in. She let it all out. The sphere pulsed. A signal. First upward. A blinding beam shot into the sky. On board the purifier ship, alarms blared. Emotional signature disrupted, a machine voice said. New data entering core logic stream. A dozen Zenari commanders watched as the beam reached them. Their emotionless eyes twitched. For the first time in centuries, they felt. They saw visions. Of children crying. Of people sacrificing themselves for strangers. Of music. And stories. And imperfect, messy, beautiful hope. What is this? One whispered. Humanity. Another replied. But not all were moved. Deep in the ship's command chamber, a final failsafe activated. The ancient AI at the ship's heart declared. Contamination. Detected. Override empathy. Resume fire sequence. The countdown resumed. 30 seconds. In the mountain, Ka'ira screamed. They're rejecting the truth. Her body began to flicker again. Unstable. Her veins glowed red this time. Burning. Daniel grabbed her shoulders. You said we had a choice, fight or flight, then fight with me, she whispered. He ran to the controls. Using the crystal memory core, he fused alien tech with human logic. Wires sparked. Code rewrote itself. What are you doing? Ka'ira asked. Something your people never tried, Daniel said. Trusting someone else. He input one final line of code. Uploading. Us. In orbit, the warship shuddered. A flood of emotion hit its systems, not from Ka'ira alone, but from both of them. A fusion of alien memory and human will, compassion, rage, forgiveness, defiance, love. Seconds, Ka'ira turned to Daniel. This might kill us. Then we go down together. They held hands. The sphere exploded in light. A wave of energy shot skyward. Not a weapon, a message, a feeling, a choice. On the purifier ship, something cracked. The weapon dimmed. Systems failed. For a brief second, every Zenari aboard felt human. The command AI screamed, purity compromised, emotion breach, initiating core reset. And then, the ship vanished. Not in flames, but in light, dismantled by the very thing it could not process. Empathy. Silence returned to the mountain. Daniel opened his eyes. The sky was blue. The air was calm. Beside him, Ka'ira still stood. Barely. Her voice was weak. We stopped it. We? Daniel asked. You gave me strength, she said. You gave me purpose. But deep in space, the war wasn't over. A new signal echoed across the stars. A whisper from the Zenari High Command. Emotion has corrupted the prototype. Prepare the final judgment. The heart of humanity. The stars shifted. In deep space, something ancient moved. The Zanari Judgment Fleet. Hundreds of ships, black as obsidian, cold as logic. Their purpose: erase the infection of emotion before it spread. Ka'ira was the infection. And now, they had seen Earth. The final command echoed across the void. Cleanse the source. Erase the anomaly. Begin extinction. On Earth, Daniel and Ka'ira stood on the mountain ridge watching the night sky. They had no more weapons, no more tricks. Only each other. How many ships? Daniel asked. Ka'ira closed her eyes. All of them. Daniel exhaled slowly. They're really going to wipe out a planet because you smiled? Ka'ira looked up. Not because I smiled, but because I learned why it matters. The world governments didn't believe them at first, until the sky turned red, until satellites vanished, until a ship the size of a continent darkened the sun over Asia. Then everyone listened. Humanity scrambled to fight back. Planes were launched, bunkers activated, missiles prepped. But Daniel knew none of it would matter. The Zanari didn't just destroy, they unmade. In a bunker under Geneva, Ka'ira stood in front of world leaders, generals, scientists, diplomats. You can't defeat them with force, she said. You have to defeat them with truth. They scoffed. Truth doesn't stop plasma weapons, one general said. It does, Ka'ira replied, if you deliver it to the right heart. Daniel had an idea. A message, not in code, not in threats, but in emotion, a frequency that carried feeling. He and Ka'ira worked side by side, humans and aliens, engineers and artists, coding memory into light, sound, and soul. They called it the hope signal. As the fleet approached, Ka'ira and Daniel climbed one last tower, the global broadcast relay. It was the highest point left untouched. Ka'ira's voice was calm, but her hands shook. If this doesn't work, then we try again, Daniel said, until we have nothing left to give. She looked at him. Daniel, I've never told you. He touched her cheek. You already have. The fleet entered atmosphere. Cities looked up. Oceans roared. The world braced for fire. But instead, the hope signal activated, and the world sang. Not with words, with memory. Millions of feelings, broadcast at once, children laughing, soldiers crying, mothers holding newborns, lovers separated by war, strangers helping strangers, pain, joy, guilt, mercy, humanity. In the lead Zanari ship, the High Commander's hands trembled. Shut it out, he ordered. Cut the stream. But the emotion had already entered their minds. For the first time in generations they felt. One whispered, "What have we done?" Another collapsed, hands over their ears. The judgment fleet faltered, but one ship did not stop. The last purifier, failsafe. Immune to emotion. Heartless by design. It opened fire. A massive energy beam roared toward the surface, toward the signal tower. Daniel saw it. Too fast, too late. Ka'ira turned to him. This is where I end. Daniel grabbed her hand. No, we end nothing. We change everything. She smiled. For the last time, then ran. Up the platform, into the light. Her body burst into golden energy, and she flew. Not like a weapon, like a star. She met the beam in midair, and, with every ounce of power left in her, she pushed back, not with anger, but with love. The sky turned white, and then, black. When the light faded, Daniel stood alone. The tower was broken, but the world was still here. Above, the Zanari fleet turned away. They didn't flee. They understood. Ka'ira had shown them the one thing they thought was weakness, and proved it was the most powerful force in the universe. Weeks passed. Cities rebuilt. Nations remembered. For once, the world was quiet, and it mattered. Daniel returned to his old cabin. He fixed things, not machines, but lives. He taught kids to build. He wrote Kyra's story. He stared at the stars every night. And sometimes, when the wind was still, he swore he could hear her voice. "I am not gone," it said. "I just became part of your sky." The end.